The first time she took a walk by the sea, her delicate beauty caught the young man's eye, but she had no shortage of admirers around her, so the young man could only suppress the stirrings in his heart. Unexpectedly, the girl's bag suddenly fell into the water. While her admirers were still hesitating on the shore, the young man had already jumped into the sea and found her bag. One of her admirers ran to the shore, hoping to take the bag and use it as a chance to impress her, but the young man ignored him and simply walked toward the girl.
Gosh, what a mess. You are a lifesaver. I'm Savannah.
John.
John?
Seeing John's brave act, she began to feel a little more affection for him. To show her gratitude, Savannah invited John to a barbecue party, but this made one of her admirers jealous, and he kept mocking John throughout the party. Savannah noticed everything and cleverly stepped in to help John out of the awkward situation. After everyone else left, the two of them finally had a moment alone.
I'm sorry about him. He thinks he likes me.
Yeah, I think he likes you too.
No. I'm not his type, he just doesn't know yet.
But just then, a little boy suddenly ran over and hugged Savannah. Seeing how close they seemed, John mistakenly thought she was already married. Savannah noticed the change in his expression and quickly explained that the boy was only her neighbor's child. At that very moment, the child's father, Tim, happened to walk over and warmly greeted them, and this misunderstanding unexpectedly brought the two of them closer. In fact, John was a Special Forces soldier on leave, while Savannah was still a college student. Although they had only just met, they seemed to have endless things to talk about, and even the bright moon in the night sky became a quiet witness to their growing connection.
Where you are in the world if you hold your hand up and close one of your eyes. It's never bigger than your thumb.
Before leaving, John still hoped he could see Savannah again the next day. Faced with his shy expectation, she gladly agreed. They began their first date, and time seemed to lose all meaning, because even late into the night, neither of them wanted to part. So John brought Savannah home, not because he had any hidden intentions, but because he wanted his father to meet this girl. Unexpectedly, his usually distant father became extremely warm, even taking out his treasured coins to show her and chatting with her nonstop, as if he had completely forgotten John was there, and that scene only made John's feelings for her even stronger. The next day, John went to see Savannah again, but every time his confession was about to leave his lips, he swallowed it back, not knowing how to say it. Then fate created the perfect chance. As a sudden downpour trapped them together in the woods, they huddled under a small platform, so close that it felt as if they could hear each other's heartbeat. With the sound of rain blending with their breathing, they soon confirmed their feelings for each other. From that moment on, they were together almost every day. John would hold Savannah's hand as they walked through the busy streets. When he learned that she was helping her neighbor build a new house, he took the initiative to lend a hand. Every night, Savannah would sing love songs to John, and her gentle melodies could not hide the love she felt for him. For them, that period of time was like the breeze on a summer evening. Once it passed through their lives, they could never forget it. Until one day, Savannah sat alone on the beach, lost in thought, and John searched several places before finally finding her. But Savannah could not bring herself to be happy, because school would start the next day, and John also had to return to his unit. The moment she thought about not being able to see him for the next year, she could not hold back the sadness in her heart. Fortunately, John would retire 1 year later, and by then, they could finally put an end to their long-distance relationship.
You promise?
I promise.
Soon, the day came for John to return to duty. On the road, Savannah's heartfelt letter became John's only comfort along the way. Savannah would write about the small everyday moments from school in her letters, while John would write down what he saw and experienced everywhere he went, sending his longing back to her through words. Little by little, the letters became an incredibly precious emotional anchor for both of them. But as John's missions took him to more and more remote places, the time it took to receive letters grew longer and longer, and sometimes, after waiting half a month, there was still not a single letter. That feeling of losing contact brought endless suffering, but their love did not fade because of it. So in their letters, they made a promise to each other that they would look up at the sky at the same moment every day. For Savannah, that became the only moment when she could feel closest to him. After waiting day after day, John's retirement date finally arrived, but just one day before he was supposed to retire, the September 11th attack shocked the world, and John's retirement request had to be extended indefinitely. Thankfully, the military gave them 2 days off, and although he could have used that time to catch his breath and rest, John did not choose to relax, but decided to return to his hometown.
Dude, what are you nuts? We get 2 days off, man. By the time you fly there and back, you have like 18 hours on the ground tops. It doesn't make any sense.
Right now, this was his only chance to see Savannah. Savannah had already been waiting at the airport for a long time, and when she saw that familiar figure appear, she could no longer hold back and ran toward him without hesitation. At that moment, all she wanted was to hold John tightly and feel his warmth. But Savannah had something even more important she wanted to do, and that was to take him to meet her parents. Her parents were very pleased with their daughter's boyfriend, but when her father asked about John's job, Savannah finally learned that John was about to return to the military again.
We sure don't need to be told.
Savannah was furious, because she had waited for John for an entire year, only to find out that she would have to keep waiting for an unknown amount of time.
Do I have a say in this? Do I have a say?
In truth, John was also deeply conflicted, because if the country fell into fear and uncertainty, their own lives would not be peaceful either. But the love between him and Savannah was also something he could not let go of. Caught between two impossible choices, he could only put aside his personal feelings and decide to serve his country. Seeing how torn John was, Savannah's heart ached, and she pulled him into her arms, with no choice but to understand. To make this love feel more complete, Savannah chose to give herself to him that night. The next day, Savannah accompanied John to the airport. Before boarding, she held John tightly, desperately wishing time could stop at that very moment, because after this goodbye, neither of them knew when they would meet again. John noticed Savannah's emotions and wanted to comfort her softly, but she did not give him the chance and turned away with quiet determination. Just like that, they once again kept in touch through letters, but this time, the words in the letters were no longer as affectionate as before, and although the handwriting was still gentle, the phrase "I'll wait for you to come back" was missing. Gradually, the letters they sent back and forth became fewer and fewer. John sensed Savannah pulling away. So late one night, he secretly took his commanding officer's radio and tried to call the woman he loved. But after dialing again and again, no one ever picked up. John fell into endless disappointment, and now, he could only place all his hope in her next letter. After 2 painful months of waiting, he finally received Savannah's reply, but that letter left him completely devastated.
Dear John, I know it's been way too long since I last wrote you. I've been staring at this blank page for the last 2 hours. Please forgive me for what I'm about to say, and know that this is the hardest thing.
That's right. Savannah had given up on their relationship, and this letter was her breakup letter to John. But what crushed John even more was that Savannah wrote in the letter that she had already married someone else. In a fit of anger, John threw all of Savannah's letters into the burning flames. Although the letters were all burned away, the words inside had already been carved into his heart. But before he could even pull himself together, the unit received a new mission. This time, one of his teammates was unfortunately hit, and to save him, John ignored the bullets flying past him and desperately dragged his teammate into a safe area. Thankfully, the bullet had only struck the edge of the body armor, but before they could even breathe a sigh of relief, the weapon had already been aimed at John. His teammate hurried to check his injury, but in John's eyes, Savannah's figure kept appearing again and again. 3 months later, John recovered. Luckily, the bullet had only passed through his shoulder and did not take his life. And because of that, he was given the chance to retire, but he did not choose to leave. And instead, he found his teammate and applied to continue serving once again. To him, only under fire could he temporarily forget that relationship. But fate did not give him that chance, because just as he put his gear back on and prepared to return to the battlefield, his elderly father suddenly became seriously ill. so he could only put aside his duty to protect his country for the moment and rush back home. What he never expected was that his father's condition was far worse than he had imagined. The old man used the last of his strength to say his final goodbye to the son he loved most. At that moment, John was surrounded by overwhelming regret, and the pain of losing his closest family member made him realize that some love does not wait forever. Carrying a longing he had nowhere to place, John subconsciously came to Savannah's home. Although he knew they had already broken up, he still could not let go of this love. And in the way Savannah looked at him, there was still a tenderness she could not hide.
John, what brings you home?
It's my dad. Yeah.
Oh. I'm sorry.
Wouldn't have made any difference.
Then Savannah warmly invited John inside. Only then did he discover that the person Savannah had married was actually their old neighbor, Tim. He could not understand why she would rather marry another man than wait for him to come back. Savannah painfully admitted that the days without John had not been easy, and in the end, this love that could not be seen or touched failed to overcome Tim's constant companionship. But now Tim's condition was not optimistic, because not long after they got married, Tim was unfortunately diagnosed with a terminal illness. Tim first apologized to John, then confessed that Savannah had actually always loved John deeply. Although Tim had kept her by his side through companionship, he had never truly entered her heart, and now Savannah's care for him was only because her kind heart wanted to repay the companionship he had once given her. During dinner, John finally had a chance to be alone with Savannah. Several times, he wanted to speak but held back, and in the end, he could not help asking the question that had been buried in his heart for so long.
Why didn't you call me? Did I not deserve any more explanation than that letter? Don't you think you owed me that?
Savannah lowered her head, not daring to look into John's eyes again, because she knew very clearly that back then, if she had heard John's voice, she would definitely have changed her mind.
Just hearing your voice, I would have changed my mind. Is that what you want to hear, John? Is that why you came all this way to hear from me? You think it was tough out there? And what, you think it was easy for me without you? You thought that every single day wasn't a goddamn marathon of my life without you? Tim was sick. He was sick and he needed me.
This explanation left John at a loss, and he did not know how to respond, so he could only quietly look at the girl he loved as she let out all the pain and resentment she had carried over the years. He stepped forward and pulled her into his arms. This hug was the gesture Savannah knew best, but now, she could only let her tears fall, and could no longer find the warmth they once had. To hide her emotions, she picked up the letters John had written to her in the past and used them as dinner conversation. But just as the memories came rushing back, Savannah accidentally knocked over a glass of water and got her clothes wet. Then, as she stood with her back to the door and changed her clothes, John saw the moment through the mirror, but he still held back the stirrings in his heart, because he knew very clearly that Savannah no longer belonged to him. Before he left, Savannah asked John whether they would see each other again. This was exactly the same question John had once asked her when he invited her on their first date, but this time, he did not know how to answer.
John? Just say it.
Goodbye, Savannah.
Only after hearing the sound of John's car gradually fade away did Savannah finally break down and cry. In the end, this love had still left her. Not long after, John returned to the military and once again received a letter from Savannah. After 5 years, the words in the letter still carried Savannah's unique tenderness. She told John that not long after he left, Tim received an anonymous donation, and that money helped keep him alive for 2 more months, allowing him to properly say goodbye to all his loved ones in his final days. But John did not seem surprised. Before returning to the military, he had sold every error coin his father had collected during his lifetime, and donated all the money to Tim. And Savannah had long understood in her heart that this anonymous kind person was John. Several years later, John officially retired from the military. Savannah happened to be sitting in a coffee shop by the street, and with just one glance up, the two of them saw each other. Time seemed to return to the moment when they first met, and she once again held John tightly. This time, fate was destined not to separate them again. The distance between two letters held the September 11th attacks, the chaos of war, and the companionship of another person. They met at the right time, but separated at the wrong time. All the time they spent together added up to less than a month. Yet that love made them wait for each other for a full 8 years. Their love made me understand that some love does not lose to time, but instead, time slowly teaches us what it means to remember someone for a lifetime. May you also meet someone like that. Someone worth waiting for a very, very long time, even if you have to take the long way around. Alright, that is the end of the story. I look forward to meeting you again next time.